But is Rogan wrong because he is letting ulterior opinions on his show and letting them get that information out there? Is that wrong? Joe Rogan again. Joe Rogan again. We can't escape the guy, can we? Doctors call out Spotify for letting Joe Rogan spread false and societally harmful COVID-19 claims. Now, there was a coalition of hundreds of doctors, or a couple hundred doctors. I think it was 200. Let me see here. 200. Let's see. Don't say 270 medical professionals urged Spotify to stop enabling its hosted media to damage public trust in scientific research and sow doubt in the credibility of data-driven guidance. Rogan, whose show reaches an estimated audience of 11 million people an episode, has repeatedly downplayed the need for the coronavirus vaccines used on his platform to flirt with misinformation about COVID-19. Now, do I think that Rogan is doing it on purpose? Is he trying to mislead people, trying to misinform people? I don't think so. I feel like he's actually trying to give people options or let people know that there are possibilities for options. And it seems like these 270 doctors, or not necessarily only doctors, it says that they're, let's see, what are they? Exclusive, highly controversial, promoting a coalition of scientists, medical professionals, professors, and science communicators. So it's not all doctors. They say that they're doctors, but it's not all doctors. It's not 270 doctors. Probably, I'm sure that they could get 270 doctors to sign on to something like that. But they are really, really trying to get on this. I mean, it's like every week. It's every week we got to cover this guy. This guy's always got something going on, but it seems to be related. It seems to be coronavirus related. And that's understandable. He's just going through different options that you may have that you may want to take, because there's so many different variables that can go wrong with all these different things that we've already said. And the crazy thing about it is it is 270 medical professionals, but think about how many medical professionals there really are. Surely that sounds like a lot of people, and 200 people is a lot of people, but not whenever you look at the grand scheme of the game and you understand that there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of medical professionals working in this country. And I would expect a little bit more people to be signing on to something had it been that dangerous, had it been that bad to where there were so many negative things happening because of this Joe Rogan guy. It seems that more of the problems aren't necessarily what people are doing with Joe Rogan's information that he's putting out on his show. It seems like more of the problem is just the fact that he's even talking about it. Just the fact that he's even talking about it and not talking about it in the way that they want him talking. Who? I don't know. I don't know who. Maybe these medical professionals will have an idea on who. Probably the companies who are putting out the vaccines will probably have an issue with the way that he's talking as well, because he's giving you other options that are, not where you don't have to go through certain companies in order to combat COVID-19. And that's a good thing, because if we remember anything about a lot of these companies who are at the top of the line now, Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, all these other types of companies, they were the bad guys before this. There was an opioid epidemic, and that's still going on. There's been so many medical problems. Remember that Martin Shkreli, whatever, dude that, uppriced some very cheap medicine so that he could make an assload of money out of it. And he was like, hey, that's just the nature of this business. And it does seem like that is the nature of that business. It does seem like it. I mean, this stuff isn't free. All this is being subsidized by the government. We are all paying for it, basically. So it's not all free. Now, do we want to be careful? Yes, of course we need to be careful. We have to make sure that we're being careful with everything out here. But at a certain point, the banging on these drums, it just gets a little old, because it's like, well, it is his job. It is Joe Rogan's job to have guests on who are interesting. And I mean, even if he has a flat earth person, I don't think that the flat earth people should be pushed off. I think they should be allowed to spread their message. It's not that hard to tell that it's not a flat earth. At least I don't think so anyway. You never really know, do you? Do you? Yeah, I guess we know the flat earth stuff. But let's see here. The Rolling Stone broke the story. I guess it's a story. Although the coalition is not asking for Spotify to cancel the Joe Rogan Experience, the group is pushing for the company to do more to prevent further misinformation from spreading on what is considered the nation's most popular podcast. Now, that's the thing, though. How do you even regulate a conversation? You regulate the conversation by either deleting it all in together, or you don't allow certain people with certain opinions on, and then that makes it more complicated, because it's like, why is it necessary to censor them in that way if their information is wrong? If their information is wrong and there's nothing to it, then it should be more than obvious. It should be more than obvious why that's the problem, that's what's going on. So, very complicated stuff, but it just seems like you don't want your podcast to get too big, because Rogan's just getting hit everywhere every time he has a podcast, and we know his opinions on things, but is it that? I mean, if you look at the numbers, Joe Rogan destroys everybody. He destroys everyone in the ratings and the downloads and in the reach, I guess you could say. So there is a giant portion of the population that does listen to Joe Rogan, and I don't think that... Look, I don't trust Joe Rogan just as much as I don't trust anybody else that I don't know personally. I've enjoyed his podcast in the past and stuff, but when it comes to my own decisions, I haven't listened to Joe Rogan. I don't listen to exactly what he says. I think some of the stuff that he says is good. Some of the stuff he says is bad. Some of the people he has on his show are good. Some of them are bad. Some of them are interesting. Some of them are not so interesting. How would they even regulate that, though? How are you going to stop the misinformation without cutting them off completely? And then, and this goes back to the old George Orwell. Who is it that gets to make those decisions? Who is it that is going to be counting the votes? Who is it that's going to be providing the information? Is that information actually true? Because science is like being used as this overall, all-encompassing word, so you can't disagree with anyone, but they say that the science changes. But the science doesn't actually change. Your interpretation of the information changes. So what you were seeing previously, you weren't necessarily seeing it that way now compared to how you were. So a lot of these things change. A lot of the information that we once had is not as relevant as the newer information now, or vice versa. And then you find out something about the old information that, oh, wow, it turns out this wasn't so bad. Turns out this is so bad. Turns out, oh, who knows? Who knows? I don't know. I definitely don't know. I know that Joe Rogan probably doesn't know, but he has to live his own life. He has to make his own decisions. As a person, you do need to make your own decision. I mean, we don't want... That's the thing. Everybody's trying to yell at each other. Everybody's trying to tell each other how to live, how to do this, how to do that. If you don't want to take a risk, don't be around people. But if you do take a risk, make sure that you increase your hygiene. Make sure you take care of yourself. Make sure that you do all the stuff that you're supposed to be doing anyway. Do not be crazy. But you guys know how that is. I don't think that this is going to change anything. Rogan is still going to be doing his show. He's still going to be interviewing people. People are still going to get banned after they've been on his show. Like that Dr. Malone his Twitter got destroyed after he was on the podcast with Joe Rogan because of misinformation, medical misinformation, science misinformation, all these other things. Is he right? Is he wrong? I can't make that decision. All I know is I want people to be able to make their own mistakes, make their own decisions, make your own mistake. Do it on yourself, though. Do it on yourself. Don't try not to have it to where everyone else is risked in the same time. You don't want to risk it. We don't want to risk it, guys. We don't want to risk it. But it's ridiculous, though, because everywhere that I've been hearing this story, everyone's talking about like, oh man, did you hear, guys, 200 doctors said that Joe Rogan needs to be taken off of the Spotify playlist or the Spotify platform because all this misinformation he's spreading about coronavirus. And it's like, that's not even exactly how it's going. That's not even what's going on, because there is a lot of good information, and it's easy to skip over the good information because there's a lot of stuff that is not even that it's bad information. It's just questionable, or it seems questionable. But that's a good thing. We always want to be questioning everything. You do want to question everything, and always understand that there are people in this world who will lead you into a hallway just so that they can steal all your money and take your life. Take everything from you. I'm not saying that that's everyone, but if somebody's telling me to trust them, I'm less likely to trust them than I would knowing someone for a little bit of time and then understanding that the way that they are and the way that they make their decisions. It's very complicated stuff we're living in, guys, but it will get better as long as we stay on top of it and we make sure that we're paying attention. So, Joe Rogan versus the doctors. Who says? Well, obviously, there's a bunch of doctors that know more than Joe Rogan, especially when it comes to viruses. But is Rogan wrong because he is letting ulterior opinions on his show and letting them get that information out there? Is that wrong? I don't think so. I think that he's doing it right, and I think that the doctors who are doing their, not only doctors, I guess it's medical professionals or whatever, whoever it all is that signed that signed the poll. What is it called? Fuck. Letter. I guess they signed a letter. Yeah, an open letter. Yeah, but they want him to implement a misinformation policy. But a misinformation policy, is that all encompassing? Is that misinformation for what? That's what's crazy. It's like, what's stopping anything from being misinformation if it's not the information that a certain, if a party wants this information out, but they don't want other pieces of information, those other pieces that they don't want out is going to be misinformation, right? But what if it still gets out? Misinformation. How do you stop it? I don't think you can stop it, guys, especially with how big of an audience and a platform that Rogan has. So, what are you going to do, right? What are you going to do? I'll tell you what to do. Stay strong.